Hi guys, today in this session I am going to discuss with you all how we will be preparing the balance sheet of a company as per Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. I'll repeat, today in this session we will understand how to prepare a balance sheet of a company as per Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. Now, this session is not specifically devoted to TY-BAF or TY-BCom or BMS or SY-BAF or even SY-BCom. This is a common thing which will be applicable whichever course you are doing, wherever you have to prepare balance sheet of a company. See, the normal trend is, what experience of us, that students, they pass the journal entries, but when it comes to preparation of balance sheet, they struggle. And that is a wrong psychology. I'm going to make it very, very simple for you. And I'm going to remove all the misconceptions that students have in their head. Balance sheet बहुत tough है, tough है. कुछ नहीं. Understand the concept, understand the format, and you have to just prepare. And it is not necessary that whatever is the format, you have to remember everything. When you solve the sum, you have to just put the heads which are relevant to a particular sum only. Anyway, when I am discussing this balance sheet, in practical life there are more items, but the balance sheet what I've already prepared is the level which is applicable for your undergraduation courses, let it be BAF, BMS or whatever it is, or BFM. So we will study the balance sheet. And again I'm repeating, there are more items, but I'm just restricting my discussion to the extent to your undergraduation syllabus. In this session, I will discuss the full balance sheet. Along with that, I'm going to take one sum where we will see how to, where there's a normal balance sheet prepared, like your liabilities and asset, we will see how to convert the same in this particular format. Okay. So first, let's discuss the balance sheet ka format. You will start with the heading balance sheet of dash 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 as on, I've just kept a hypothetical date 31st March 25. Now, your normal T form or horizontal balance sheet was divided in two parts, left side पे liability, right side पे assets. That's what you are studying since FYGC. यहाँ पे it is vertical format, and instead of liabilities, the heading will be equity and liabilities. It is just same only, but the revised name is given. So your first half of the balance sheet will be equity and liabilities, and second half will be asset. What you all have done in management accounting, that format is a bit different, but यहाँ पे it is as per Companies Act. So the two heads are equity and liabilities, the first half, and the second half assets. Okay, now see, when you make the format, now your headings will be particulars, note number. Now here, for easy to make the concept more easier, I have made two columns. Even if you all don't make two columns, you all do it in single column, that is also fine, but I have always kept that strategy. I make two columns, but I'm telling you it is not required. Even if you fit everything one below the other, it is fine. I'll tell you how to do when I start the sum. Got it, guys? Chalo. Now let's start. So notes and two columns of amount. Note number यहाँ पे blank रहेगा while discussing. I'll tell you when I keep on proceeding towards the explanation why this is relevant, and in the sum we will actually make the notes to accounts. So let's start. Understand this because this is relevant to all undergrad courses, BAF, BCom, BMS, BBI, BFM, everywhere, even inter CA and final CA. Okay, chalo. As I told you, first half of the balance sheet is equity and liabilities. Now, equity and liabilities. Equity and liabilities will be further divided in three parts. That is shareholders' funds, non-current liabilities, and current liabilities. Equity and liabilities will be divided in three parts: shareholders' funds, non-current liability, current liability. Let's go step by step. सबसे पहले shareholders funds. Shareholders funds is nothing but funds belonging to the owners, that is shareholders. You have done earlier in management account, we also call it as proprietors funds. So shareholders funds यहाँ पे will be divided further in two parts: share capital and reserve. So what you will do? Number one, give the heading shareholders funds. उसके नीचे A share capital, B reserves and surplus. A share capital, B reserves and surplus. Now, when I say share capital, you all know very well from a company's perspective, there are two share capitals. One is equity share capital and one is preference. One is equity and one is preference. दोनों में difference क्या होता है? Preference shares have two preferences over equity. First of all, they get a fixed rate of dividend every year. They get a fixed rate of dividend every year. And second, when the company wound up, when the company closes down, preference shareholder will get their money first and then equity. Preference shareholders will get their money first and then equity. So I'll repeat, share capital in two parts, preference and equity, both will be a part of share capital. I showed you the difference in this chapter. You do not know the, you are not supposed to know the difference, but it is important to understand the practicality. So first, A share capital, the first part of shareholders funds, which will include equity and preference. Now see, the purpose of writing this note number is, you know what? Suppose the company has 10 lakhs का share capital. 10 lakh में से 7 lakh is equity, 3 lakh is preference. तो यहाँ पे when you write, you will write full 10 lakhs only. वो 10 lakhs का breakup we will show after the balance sheet under the heading notes to accounts. Simple words में you can say notes to account is nothing but as good as annexure or working note, where जो टोटल अमाउंट हम लोग यहाँ पे लिखते हैं, वॉट एवर टोटल अमाउंट वी राइट हियर, वो कैसे आया उसका ब्रेकअप वी शो इट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वर्किंग, दैट इज नोट्स टू अकाउंट्स. एक्चुअली उसको कैसे करने का, when I start the sum which I am doing in this session only, there you will see in detail. Okay, now when I write share capital, when I prepare the note, there is something called as authorized, issued and subscribed capital, that when I actually start the sum, I will show you in that. Right now just understand the heads. Okay, so share capital में आएगा preference share and equity. Now as per the Companies Act, when you write share capital, always advisable to write preference shares first. तो अगर preference और equity दोनों है, better write preference first then equity. See, undergrad level में they don't stress internal orders इतना, but keep that trend. So preference share capital, equity share capital will be a part of share capital. Second, reserves and surpluses. You all know, you will have done in SY also, currently also you are doing any type of reserves and surpluses. What are reserves and surpluses? Profits generated by the company, reserves created by the company, which are to be used either for a general purpose or for specific purpose. Profits generated by the company which will be used either for specific purpose or for general purposes. Capital reserve, CRR, you all have done redemption of preference shares, redemption of, buyback of shares. We create CRR, that is created for a specific purpose. यहाँ पे purpose important नहीं है. Whether a reserve is for a specific purpose or a reserve is for general purpose, everything will come under the head reserves and surpluses. I'll give you examples. Capital reserve, CRR, that is your capital redemption reserve, revaluation reserve, general reserve, profit and loss, reserve fund, dividend equalization reserve. All these reserves will be a part of reserves and surpluses. All this will be a part of reserves and surpluses. Got it? Now see, after preparing the notes, again I'll repeat, कैसे बनाने का we will see in the sum. शेयर कैपिटल का जो भी टोटल आता है यहाँ पे फर्स्ट कॉलम में, रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस का जो भी टोटल आता है यहाँ पे, एंड दिस प्लस दिस विल गो इन द सेकेंड कॉलम. सो सेकेंड कॉलम इज फॉर द टोटल. अगेन आई रिपीट, इफ यू वांट टू जस्ट प्रिपेयर वन कॉलम, जस्ट प्रिपेयर वन, फिर ये इनर कॉलम का जरूरत नहीं है, स्ट्रेट अवे राइट द आंसर्स. गॉट इट? सो शेयर कैपिटल एंड रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस के लिए हमेशा नोट्स बनेगा. ऑल अदर आइटम्स के लिए नोट्स इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट शेयर कैपिटल एंड रिजर्व्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. Got it? So the first part of equity and liability was share capital. Now we come to the second part, non-current liabilities. See, understand the heading का difference. Second is non-current, third is current. दोनों में फर्क क्या है? Non-current means payable after 1 year, and current means payable within a period of 1 year. You all have done management accounting में ratios and all. So any liability, there is no legal definition, but generally the concept is, if anything is payable within a period of 1 year, it is treated as current liability, and if it is payable after a period of 1 year, it is non-current. Okay, so non-current liabilities is the second head, which is divided in three parts. It is divided in more parts, but again I am repeating, I am making you all do the format from undergrad syllabus point of view only. Okay, otherwise यहाँ पे भी more items है, यहाँ पे भी more items है, but we are doing it from your undergraduation course level point of view. Three parts. A, long term borrowings. अगर तुमने किसी से लोन लिया है, वो पैसा 1 साल के बाद पे करोगे, then it will be a part of long term borrowings. If you have taken loan from anyone, and if it is payable after a period of 1 year, then it will come under the heading long-term borrowings. Example, issue of debentures, let it be convertible, non-convertible, bank loan taken, loan from financial institution, loan from banks, all that is a part of long-term borrowings. So any loans taken, sorry, where the payment is to be made after a period of 1 year, then that will be treated as long-term borrowings. Next, other long-term liabilities. Any liabilities which is not a borrowing, but I have to pay after 1 year, comes under other long-term liabilities. There are hardly some, एक दो sum है, but I have kept it. Now say for example, तुमने creditor से good खरीदा. Normally credit period is 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But if there is an understanding that the payment is to be made after 1 year, then it will come here. In short, anything which you pay after 1 year, but it is not a borrowing, then it will be a part of other long-term liabilities. जैसे मैंने एग्जांपल दिया, क्रेडिटर्स का पेमेंट हुआ नहीं, तुम्हारा कंपनी का प्रॉब्लम है, योर फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन इज नॉट गुड, there's an understanding that you will pay the creditor after 1 year, then in that case it becomes other long-term liabilities. Then long-term provision. Long-term provision means liabilities which is to be paid in the future. Now say for example, company hai, when your employees retire, you all have to pay gratuity. There are certain payments to be made at the time of retirement when the company, when the employee retires, usko pay karna padega. So those will be treated as long-term provision. Just giving example. See why it is called as provision. Liability और provision में फर्क क्या है? Liability में I know the exact amount to be paid. Provision, it is an estimate. When I actually pay, the amount may change. It may increase, it may decrease, or it may remain same. So provision you can say is as good as a liability, but not an exact amount, estimate amount. I am making the explanation very simple for you. Otherwise इसमें explain करने के लिए बहुत कुछ है, but not required at your level. Got it? So long-term provision means provisions to be made where the payments are going to be made in the future, where the exact amount cannot be determined today. You can just keep this in mind. As far as this head is concerned, generally 90%, 95% of the cases में you will just be having long term borrowings. ये दोनों बहुत बहुत रेयर केस में आएंगे. Got it? So this was non-current liabilities. Again, if you are just making one column, just put one below the other. If you are making two columns, put all of them in the first column and then take the answer outside. Clear? Next, coming to the last item of equity and liability ka head. What is it? Current liabilities. I already told you. Current liabilities are those liabilities where generally the payment is made after period of 1 year. Where generally the payment is made after a period of 1 year. Now your current liability is divided in four categories. Current liability is divided in four categories. This is the standard as per the Companies Act. Now ये चार क्या है? A, short term borrowings. ऊपर क्या था? Long term borrowings. Short term borrowing क्या? अच्छा पहले long term क्या था? I take a loan. What I told you? Payable after 1 year, long term. मैंने किसी से लोन लिया. It is payable within a period of 1 year. Then it is called as short term borrowings. If I take a loan from somebody और मुझे एक साल के अंदर पे करना है, the period is small, less than 1 year, then it is short term borrowing. सबसे बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल बैंक ओवरड्राफ्ट. बैंक ओवरड्राफ्ट डेली बेसिस पे चेंज होता था. आई डोंट हैव टू टेल यू व्हाट इज बैंक ओडी. एनीवे बताता हूं. It is a temporary loan given by the bank to the businessmen who are having current account. आज मेरे अकाउंट में 1 लाख रुपया है. मैंने ओडी का फैसिलिटी लिया, बैंक ओडी का. आई वॉन्ट टू मेक अ पेमेंट ऑफ 2 lakhs. बैंक मुझे 2 लाख का पेमेंट करके देगा. क्यों? 1 लाख मेरा था और 1 लाख बैंक देगा. दैट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज अ लोन गिवन टू मी. फॉर मी इट इज अ लायबिलिटी. 4 दिन के पास मेरे पास पैसा वापस आ गया तो मेरा ओडी कम हो गया. So that amount of overdraft keeps on changing every day. Therefore, it is treated as current liability. Therefore, bank overdraft will be a part of short-term borrowings. Therefore, bank overdraft will be a part of short-term borrowings. Clear? So, any liabilities to be paid within a period of 1 year will be a part of short-term borrowings. When I come to notes to accounts, when I come to the sum, what I'm going to do, I'll tell you further information relating to notes to accounts. Second, trade payables. Now, trade payables will generally include all liabilities which are genuinely connected with your basic trade activities. As far as your syllabus is concerned, only two items, majority, 99% of the cases में there are only two items, creditors and bills payable. Sundry creditors जिससे हमने goods purchase किया उनको पे करना है. That is a part of trade payable because it is a genuine core business liability connected with your day-to-day affairs. And if you accept bill, that you all know very well, bills payable, that will come here. So trade payables will include creditors and bills payable. Now there are certain expenses which can also be a part of trade payable. Again the same thing, तुम्हारे syllabus में deep में है ही नहीं, so I am not getting into that. After trade payable, other current liabilities. Other current liability means all liabilities other than ऊपर के दो. You can say, to make it simple, outstanding expense, outstanding salary, outstanding electricity, outstanding rent, all that comes in other current liabilities. When you receive an income in advance, expenses paid in advance is an asset. Income received in advance is a liability. So when you get any income in advance, that will be a part of other current liability. When you get any income in advance, that will be other current liabilities. So anything paid in advance, asset. Anything received in advance will be a liability. So other current liabilities, expenses which are outstanding, income received in advance, interest payable on loans, all that comes in other current liabilities. Next, short-term provisions. Now, how we did long-term provisions? Short-term provisions means provisions which are made for payments to be made within a period of 1 year. The best example of short-term provision is provision for income tax. Best example for short-term provision is provision for income tax. You know why? Because आज साल खत्म हुआ, you will provide tax, and वो tax का assessment means what? Whatever you have paid, उसका रिजल्ट एक साल के अंदर ही आ जाएगा. गवर्नमेंट, दैट इज इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट, will clear your order that whether what you have paid or provided is proper, or you're supposed to pay more, or you're supposed to pay less, or you're entitled for a refund. That all is adjusted within 1 year from the date of filing of your income tax return. Those who have studied direct tax return of income, you all know very well. बाकी लोग डीप में जाने का जरूरत नहीं है. Provision for tax is the best example of short-term provisions. Yes, there is one point here. There is something called as advance tax. Back students, you all know. Advance tax is the income tax which is paid in advance. Now, what the Companies Act say? अगर short-term provisions और advance tax दोनों है, तो you have to net it off. Net it off मतलब advance tax assets में जाता है, provision for tax यहाँ पे आता है. दोनों जगह पे नहीं लिखना है, एक जगह पे नेट करना है. नेट मतलब से फॉर एग्जांपल माय प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स का अमाउंट इज 10,000, एडवांस टैक्स इज 8, तो यहाँ पे मैं शो करूंगा नोट में 10 - 8. उसका डिटेल आई विल शो यू इन द सम. आई हैव केप्ट दैट पॉइंट इन द सम, सो व्हेन आई कम टू दैट पर्टिकुलर सम, दैट टाइम आई एक्सप्लेन यू. ओके, सो आई रिपीट, प्रोविजन फॉर इनकम टैक्स एंड एडवांस टैक्स को नेट करना है. वो कैसे नेट करना है, I'll show you the sum. In the sum only what I'm going to do now is sum time. Got it? So that was short-term provisions. Total of all four will come outside. That will be current liability. And if you are not preparing second inner column, see the bar. Got it? Now, whatever amount you have written here, uska total will be your balance sheet ka total. So your balance sheet ka first half ka total, that is equity and liabilities, will be divided in three parts: shareholders funds, non-current liabilities, and current liabilities. And the total here will be the total of. Got it, guys? This was first part of your liability. This was first part of your liability. Correct? Now coming to the second part, that is assets. Coming to the second part, that is assets. Assets divided in two parts. Assets divided in two parts: non-current assets and current assets. Non-current and current. Again the same logic. Non-current means long term, current means short term. जो assets का life normally एक साल से ज्यादा होता है, that is treated as non-current, and less than 1 year is treated as current. Clear? Now see, coming to the first part, non-current assets. Non-current assets में what comes? First, A, fixed assets. A, fixed assets. Now, fixed assets में there is further three classification. One is property, plant and equipment. Now see here, brackets I have written tangible assets. Till last year it was tangible assets. Now the Company Act has just changed the heading. Instead of tangible, they are telling us to write property, plant and equipment. Meaning same ही है. So all tangible assets, instead of putting the head tangible assets, you will put the head property, plant and equipment. Now why I have put in brackets now? Because still most of the textbooks are using the word tangible assets only, and most of the professors are also using the word tangible. They are not putting this new head. See, ये खाली heading है, अंदर दोनों का मसाला सेम ही है. The ingredients what you are going to write, the breakup what you are going to show is tangible only. So you can write this way how I have written. Even if you write tangible, it's fine. Even if you write property, plant and equipment, because end of the day property, plant and equipment all are tangible only. Got it? So fixed assets ka first part, property, plant, equipment, or you call it as tangible. आफ्टर दैट सेकंड इंटेंजिबल एसेट्स. अच्छा, टैंजिबल में क्या क्या आता है? ऑल मतलब ऑल व्हाट यू कैन फील, सी एंड टच. बिल्डिंग, लैंड, कंप्यूटर्स, एफआईजीसी का बेसिक, लैपटॉप्स, फर्नीचर फिक्चर्स, एयर कंडीशनर, ट्यूबलाइट फिटिंग्स, और योर लाइट फिटिंग्स मतलब ट्यूबलाइट, एलईडी ट्यूबलाइट्स, फॉल सीलिंग में जो फिट करते हैं वो लाइट्स, फर्नीचर फिटिंग्स, कैलकुलेटर्स, ऑल दैट कम्स अंडर tangible or property, plant and equipment. Clear? Second, intangible. You all know very well. Intangible assets are those assets which we cannot feel, see and touch. Goodwill, patents, copyright, trademarks, all FIJC ka basic. I am not getting into all that. So these will come in intangible. Now see the next one. Capital work in progress. This is important. Work in progress means what? You all are studying in degree college. You all are studying since FISY. Work in progress means the progress is on, काम चालू है. Normally you all have heard stock of work in progress. That means the goods are under process. Capital WIP का मतलब क्या? See, first it is appearing under which head? Capital WIP is appearing under the head fixed assets. So capital work in progress, since it is a part of fixed assets, that means it has got some connection with fixed assets. So now the question is, why the word work in progress? इसका मतलब ये है, suppose आज मैं खुद का बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्ट कर रहा हूं टू बी यूज्ड बाय माई सेल्फ और माई कंपनी. बिल्डिंग का काम चालू है, 4 माले का बिल्डिंग बना रहा हूं. आई एम कंस्ट्रक्टिंग अ बिल्डिंग ऑफ 4 फ्लोर्स. फर्स्ट फ्लोर खत्म हो गया, साल खत्म हो गया, कैपिटल WIP. सेकेंड फ्लोर, थर्ड फ्लोर, एंड ऑफ सेकेंड ईयर हो गया, कैपिटल WIP. थर्ड ईयर में पूरे 4 माले कंस्ट्रक्ट हो गए, इट बिकम्स प्रॉपर्टी. सो टिल द टाइम योर एसेट इज अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन, तुम तुम्हारा खुद का फिक्स एसेट कंस्ट्रक्ट कर रहे हो, या तो बिल्डिंग खड़ा कर रहे हो, या तो यू आर इंस्टॉलिंग अ प्लांट. टिल द टाइम इट इज नॉट फुल्ली इंस्टॉल्ड and you can start using it, it will be a part of capital WIP. Building under construction, plant under installation, all will be a part of capital WIP. And once the construction is done, or once the installation is done, then it gets removed from capital WIP and it becomes a part of property, plant and equipment. It gets reduced from capital WIP and becomes a part of property, plant and equipment. Got it? So fixed assets in 3 parts. First, property, plant and equipment. We also call it as tangible assets. Second, intangible assets. And third, capital WIP. Next, B, non-current investments. Now, you all know, you all are studying since FIJC. Investment, every year you hear the word investment. Now, when I say investment, we invest with an intention. We invest with an intention to earn returns. Correct? आज कोई प्रॉपर्टी में इन्वेस्ट करेगा, रेंट मिलेगा. बैंक फिक्स डिपॉजिट या डिबेंचर्स में डालोगे, इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा. शेयर्स में इन्वेस्ट करोगे, डिविडेंड मिलेगा. सो ऑल दैट विल बी अ पार्ट ऑफ नॉन करंट इन्वेस्टमेंट, प्रोवाइडेड आज मैंने इन्वेस्ट किया, पीरियड 1 साल के ऊपर है. आज मैंने शेयर्स में डाला, मतलब ठीक है 2-3 साल के बाद बेचूंगा, नॉन करंट. डिबेंचर्स डाला 2 साल, 3 साल, 5 साल, नॉन करंट. I invest in bank fixed deposit. Maturity period is after 1 year, then it becomes non-current investment. अगर period 1 year के नीचे है, I'll come here, then it will be a part of current investment. So wherever any investment is made, जिसका maturity period is after 1 year, then that will be a part of non-current investments. Next, C, long-term loans and advances. I give loan to somebody. Okay. मैंने मेरे स्टाफ को एडवांस दिया. आई विल रिकवर आफ्टर 1 year. आई विल एडजस्ट अगेंस्ट द सैलरी आफ्टर 1 year. देन इट बिकम्स लॉन्ग टर्म लोन्स एंड एडवांसेस. अगर 1 साल के अंदर एडजस्ट करूंगा, 1 साल के अंदर रिकवरी हुआ, देन इट विल बी अ पार्ट ऑफ शॉर्ट टर्म लोन्स एंड एडवांसेस. गॉट इट? एंड द लास्ट, अदर नॉन करंट एसेट. लास्ट मतलब नॉन करंट एसेट्स का लास्ट, अदर नॉन करंट एसेट्स. एनी लॉन्ग टर्म एसेट any long-term asset which doesn't fit in any of the category of A, B, and C will come here. And the best example here is fictitious assets. All fictitious assets will be a part of other non-current assets. All fictitious assets will be a part of other non-current assets. All fictitious assets will be a part of other non-current assets. fictitious क्या होता है? Expenses incurred, benefit taken in the future period, or accumulated losses. But accumulated losses, अभी rules change हो गया है. If there is a negative balance of P&L, then it is to be shown as a deduction from reserves. तो यहाँ पहले क्या होता था? This was treated as fictitious, but यहाँ पे fictitious नहीं है. So fictitious or other non-current assets के example: share issue expense to be written off, preliminary expenses, underwriting commission to be written off. All these are discount on issue of shares and debentures to be written off over a period of years. All these come in other non-current assets because they don't result in acquisition of asset. Expense incur किया and uska benefit you get over a period of years, that is other non-current assets. If you are preparing two columns, सबका total यहाँ पे लेके out, otherwise one column में one below the other. Okay. Coming to the last part of the balance sheet and second part of assets, that is current assets. Current assets, you will name it as number 2. In this, there are 6 items which are as per the Companies Act. Now, what are those? A, current investments. Now, when you invest, investments are of 2 types, long term and short term. I discuss here. यहाँ पे non-current investments. Non-current investments means long-term investments. Okay, I explained you the logic. Now, वहीं पे मैंने बताया था, in case you make an investment and the maturity is within a period of 1 year. आज मैंने शेयर में डाला, मैं सोचूंगा 6 महीने में बेचूंगा, तो वो short term हो गया, less than 1 year, it becomes current assets. I make a fixed deposit in bank for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 10 months, 11 months, less than 12 months, it becomes current investment. So any investment made जहां पे पैसा मुझे 1 साल के अंदर वापस मिल जाएगा, that will be a part of current investments. जरा लाइट का रिफ्लेक्शन है. Next is inventory. Inventory is nothing but another name for stock. Inventory is another name for stock. Now you all know कौन से टाइप के स्टॉक होते हैं? Stock of raw materials, stock of finished goods, stock of work in progress, all that comes under this. So inventory will include your stock of goods, which can be finished goods, raw material, inventory, and even loose tool. Loose tool मतलब क्या होता है? वो होता है ना हमारे घर पे खिल्ला, स्क्रू ड्राइवर, पकड़, all that is an example of loose tools. So your inventories will include those. Next C, again I think light reflection is शायद दिखेगा नहीं. C is trade receivable. अभी देखो यहाँ पे मैंने क्या बोला था? ट्रेड पेबल में क्या आएगा? क्रेडिटर्स एंड बिल्स पेबल. सो सिमिलरली ट्रेड रिसीवेबल में आएगा डेटर्स एंड बिल रिसीवेबल. ट्रेड पेबल में आएगा क्रेडिटर्स एंड बिल्स पेबल, यहां पे आएगा डेटर्स एंड बिल. बाय डेटर्स, डेटर्स से पैसा लेना है, रिसीवेबल एसेट. Bills receivable gets created from debtors only. You all have done bills of exchange in SYGC. So bill receivable gets generated from debtors only. So debtors and BR both will be a part of trade receivable. Got it? Then cash and cash equivalent. Now when I say cash and cash equivalent would mean your cash and bank balance. Cash and cash equivalent would mean your cash and bank balance. हार्ड कैश पड़ा है मेरे कैश बॉक्स में, पार्ट ऑफ कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट. बैंक में बैलेंस है, पार्ट ऑफ कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट. कैश एट बैंक, कैश इन हैंड, all that is a part of cash and cash equivalent. Next, what I explained here, short term loans and advances. मैंने किसी को लोन दिया, एज अ कंपनी स्टाफ को लोन दिया, आई विल एडजस्ट अगेंस्ट एवरी मंथ का सैलरी, शॉर्ट टर्म हो गया. किसी को शॉर्ट टर्म लोन दिया, 6 महीने में वापस आ जाएगा, शॉर्ट टर्म लोन एंड एडवांसेस. Expenses paid in advance, short-term loan. What I told you, income received in advance will be other current liabilities, and expenses paid in advance will be a part of short-term loans and advance, not other current assets. It will be short-term loans and advances. Got it? So when I pay an expense in advance, short-term loans and advances. When I give a loan, I will get it back within 1 year, short-term loan and advances. When I give loan to salary, when I give a loan to staff against salary, every month के salary में adjust करूंगा, short term loans and advances. So any advance given, any loan given, if adjustment is made within a period of 1 year, recovery हो गया short term, और अगर 1 साल के ऊपर जाएगा, then it will be a part of long term loans and advances. Okay, and the last, other current assets. Any current asset which doesn't fall in the above 5 categories A, B, C, D, E, then it comes under the head other current asset. Example, interest receivable on investments made. Okay, any other income receivable, all that is a part of other current assets. तुमने income tax pay किया, refund आ रहा है, that refund also will be a part of other current assets. So I'll repeat, any current assets which doesn't fall in the first 5 categories, then it will be treated as other current assets. Income receivable, interest receivable, income tax refund, all that is a part of other current assets. Depending on the chapter what you are going to study, this will come, and according to the adjustments, the items will be more or less. But right now, my concept is not of any individual chapter. My concept, my object, my motto here is to make you understand how to prepare company ka balance sheet. So assets ka two part, non-current, current. Current ka put all the items here, take the total outside, or as I told you, you can straight away put it in the outer column. Take the total, balance sheet है, liability and assets का total same होना चाहिए. Therefore, this total and this total has to match. This total and this total has to match. That is the logic. So this was understanding the format of the balance sheet. Now I'm continuing this video. Time I'll be able to manage. I'm taking one sum. You'll have the question in front of you. We will see how that normal question, मतलब normal balance sheet वाला sum we convert into the vertical balance sheet as per companies act. Okay, I'll just be back with that sum, and in the sum I will get in detail in your notes to accounts ka part. Okay guys, continuing with the sum what I have made. See, you all have that extra question. Now guys, be careful. I'm making the thing very simple for you all. इसको तुम कैसे करोगे? Just 1 minute, just 1 minute guys. Yeah, sorry. Now you all have the question in front of you. We will read the Sorry guys, the mic went off. I'm just repeating again. Question है, following is the balance sheet given by X Limited as on 31st March 21. Equity, share capital, preference share capital. So equity and preference both will be a part of share capital. Capital reserve, general reserve, P&L. All three will be a part of reserves and surpluses. Capital reserve, general reserve, P&L, all three will be a part of reserves and surpluses. 10% debentures. Now, when nothing is mentioned, debentures are always long term. So 10% debentures will be a part of long term borrowing. तो उसके सामने लिख दो LTB. LTB मतलब long term borrowing. Bank OD, we discussed some time back. Bank overdraft is a short term loan. So bank overdraft, short term borrowing. So bank overdraft के सामने लिख दो STB. See, write this, it is important. So when you start, you have to be ready with the notes to accounts. Okay, वो भी कैसे करने का I'll tell you. So short term borrowing के सामने STB. Creditors, bills payable, as I told you, will be a part of trade payable. Creditors, bills payable, part of trade payable. Outstanding expense will be a part of other current liabilities. Outstanding expense will be a part of other current liabilities. Provision for tax will be a part of short-term provision. So outstanding creditors, bills payable के सामने लिख दो TP, that is trade payable. Outstanding expense के सामने लिख दो OCL. Provision for tax के सामने लिख दो STP, that is short-term provisions. Okay, come to the asset side. It's very simple. You have to just see how, you have to just decide how to fit in the format. Okay, land and building, we know, tangible. Plant and machinery, tangible. Furniture, fixtures, tangible. As I told you, call it as tangible or you call it as property, plant and equipment. Tangible or you call it as property, plant and equipment. Clear? Next. तो ये तीनों के सामने लिख दो टीए और पीपीई. राइट पीपीई और राइट टीए. ओके. Goodwill, patents, both are intangible. So against these to write IA, intangible. Building under construction. What I told you? Capital work in progress. It's a part of building under construction. What I told you? Any fixed asset you construct, that will be a part of capital WIP. So building under construction, capital WIP. Then 5% investment. If nothing is mentioned, investment will be long term, that is non-current investment. तो उसके सामने लिख दो NCI, non-current investments. Preliminary expenses, fictitious assets. Preliminary expenses is fictitious assets. It will be a part of other non-current assets. Preliminary expenses, other non-current assets. Marketable investments. Marketable investments will be short-term investments. Marketable investments will be short-term investments. Therefore, it will go under the head current investments. So write there CI. Preliminary expense के सामने ONCA, other non-current assets. Marketable investment, short-term. Stock, part of inventories. Stock is a part of inventory. Let it be any type of stock. यहाँ पे एक ही stock है. Debtors, bill receivable, both will be a part of trade receivable. So लिख दो TR, trade receivable. Cash as well as bank, both will be a part of cash and cash equivalent. What I told you, when cash and bank both are there, it will be a part of cash and cash equivalent. Prepaid expense, short-term loans and advances. Prepaid expense will be short-term loans and advances. Now guys, see advance tax, what I was referring. क्वेश्चन में खाली एडवांस टैक्स होता, शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोविजन, दैट मींस प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स नहीं होता, एडवांस टैक्स वुड हैव गॉन अंडर द हेड शॉर्ट टर्म लोन्स एंड एडवांसेस. आई विल रिपीट अगेन. क्वेश्चन में खाली एडवांस टैक्स होता और प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स नहीं होता, इट वुड कम हियर. खाली प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स होता, एडवांस टैक्स नहीं होता, प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स आएगा शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोविजन में. नाउ सी बोथ आर देयर. अभी देखो एडवांस टैक्स कितना है 15,000, प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स कितना है, लायबिलिटी साइड लास्ट आइटम 33,000, प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स इज 33, एडवांस टैक्स इज 15, सो प्रोविजन ज्यादा है, सो देयर विल बी अ नोट फॉर शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोविजन जहां पे हम लोग एडवांस टैक्स माइनस करेंगे. अगर एडवांस टैक्स ज्यादा होता, प्रोविजन कम होता, then there would be a note for short term loans and advances. When I start the posting, that time I'll tell you. Okay. So advance tax in this case will be deducted from provision for tax. And interest receivable, as I told you, it is a part of other current assets, so uske samne likh do OCA. Got it? This was the discussion. Now listen, how to prepare the format. First, you will make the balance sheet same way how it is given here. As I told you, अगर किसी को फर्स्ट कॉलम इग्नोर करना है, खाली एक ही कॉलम रखना है, नो प्रॉब्लम, एक कॉलम रखो, चलेगा. बैलेंस शीट ऑफ एक्स लिमिटेड एज ऑन 31st March 21. मेक दिस फॉर्मेट इन दिस ऑर्डर ओनली. तुम्हारा करंट एसेट्स शायद नेक्स्ट पेज पे जाएगा. ओके, करंट एसेट्स विल गो इन द नेक्स्ट पेज. नाउ आफ्टर दैट give the heading notes to accounts. Continue below the balance sheet only. Notes to accounts, particulars, single column of amount. Particulars, single column of amount. Make 2 full pages. In fact 2.5. बाद में जरूरत पड़ेगा तो एक्सटेंड करना. 2 मतलब बैलेंस शीट के नीचे का पेज ले लो and next 2 sides you take it. No particulars and single column of amount. Okay, now listen. In this particular sum, I have kept all the items in this order only. Basic है ये, तो I don't want to create confusion. So now, share capital. How many items are there where you have written share capital? दो है, equity and preference. Correct? दो है, equity and preference. So there will be a note. Note 1 share capital. Share capital का note हमेशा आता है. The reason is because now as per Companies Act 13 you have to write the number of shares also. पहले नंबर का जरूरत नहीं था. So note 1 share capital. There is one specific heading to be written. What it is, I'll tell you when I come to that. So right now note 1 share capital, keep around 6 lines. Note 1 share capital, keep around 6 lines. Next, reserves and surpluses. If you see there are 3 reserves. So heading दे दो reserves and surpluses, keep 4 lines. Why 4 lines? 3 reserves and एक total का. So reserves and surpluses 4 lines. Long term borrowing, there is only 10% debentures और कोई information नहीं है. 2 lines. I'll repeat, 6 lines, 4 lines, 2 lines. After that, other long term liability is not there, nor long term provision. मैंने बोला था ये दो items बहुत rare है. Note 4 short term borrowings. There is only one item, bank overdraft. So short term borrowings, bank OD, keep 2 lines. One item and one for total. वही total होगा. Then next, trade payable. देखो creditors, bills payable दोनों है. So 2 items and one for total. Trade payable around 3 lines. एक line ज़्यादा छोड़ोगे चलेगा. So trade payable 3 lines. Other current liability, there is outstanding expense. So next note number 6, other current liability, one item and one line for total. ये सब में मैंने सब order में ही रखा हुआ है. Then you have short term provisions. Now see, short term provision में there is provision for tax, but as I told you उसमें से advance tax deduct होगा. So for this keep 3 lines. Short term provisions keep 3 lines. Next, tangible assets, that is property, plant and equipment. All your tangible assets will come in this. There are 3 items, so 3 lines for each item and total का एक 4. So 4 to 5 lines for tangible asset. You see, तुमने question में कितने item के सामने tangible लिखा है? 3. एक line total का, so 4 lines. Intangible assets, 2 items, 2 plus 1, 3. 3 lines का intangible assets. Capital WIP. Capital WIP, there is only one item. So capital WIP, give the heading note number 10, sorry, and leave 2 lines. यहाँ पे शायद थोड़ा light reflection रहेगा. Note 11, non-current investments. Only one investment there, so non-current investments. Next, note number 12. Note number 12. Other non-current assets. There is preliminary expenses. Only one item, so 2 lines here. गेट ना. चाहिए तो रिवाइंड करके सुनो वापस मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, कितनी लाइन छोड़नी. नोट 13, ट्रेड रिसीवेबल. ट्रेड रिसीवेबल में व्हाट विल कम? डेटर्स एंड बिल रिसीवेबल. There are some presentation that you see in the individual chapter, not in this basic format. So trade receivable में आएगा sundry debtors and bill receivable. 2 items, 1 line for total, 3 to 4 lines. Cash and cash equivalent. There are 2 items, cash and bank. Understand the explanation what I gave you before when I was discussing the format. चाहिए तो वापस rewind करके देख लो. In this sum, cash and bank both will be a part of cash and cash equivalent. 2 items, 1 line for total, 3 to 4 lines. Short-term loans and advances. Advance tax is there, but it will be deducted from short-term provision. So other than advance tax, there is only one prepaid expense. So 1 item and 1 line. So 2 to 3 lines. And the last one, other current asset, there is interest receivable. So again the same thing, you will leave 1 line for the item and 1 for total, 2 to 3 lines. Got it? So main balance sheet, उसके नीचे remaining part, notes to accounts, next 2 sides, जरूरत पड़ेगा तो extend करना. Got it guys? Once you are ready with this, then only you start the posting. Because ध्यान रखना, ये main है, इसके बाद बाकी का खाली fill in the blanks है. This is main, the remaining is just fill in the blanks. Got it? So एक बार ये हो गया, now we start the posting. Again I am repeating, जिसको समझ में नहीं आया वापस रिवाइंड करो, ये वीडियो YouTube पे भी ओपन है. See which note I have told how many lines to leave. Got it? एक बार वो ready है, then the rest all is fill in the blanks. Clear guys? चलो, now let's start. I'll tell you while we go ahead, किधर किधर note ignore भी कर सकते हो, I'll tell you that also. Now see, the first thing is equity and preference. Now we know both of them will come in share capital, but when you write anything in share capital, after the heading share capital, you give a subheading authorize, issued and subscribe. Give the heading authorize, issued and subscribe. Authorize means the maximum number of shares the company can issue. Company cannot issue more than authorized share capital. If they want, they have to take the permission of the ROC and they have to amend their memorandum and article of association. So that is the maximum number of shares which the company can issue. Issued means the shares actually issued by the company. Issued means the shares actually issued by the company. And subscribe means out of the issued shares, how many shares the shareholders have subscribed for. इतना डिटेल में तुम्हारे सिलेबस में नहीं आएगा, but sometimes they will give you authorize separately. So if authorize is given separately, you will first give the heading authorize, write the authorized capital, which is just for presentation. I have not kept it in this sum, and then give the heading issued and subscribed. Because what goes in the main balance sheet will be issued and subscribed. Got it? Clear with this? Chalo. So after giving this heading, now we write the ingredient, the breakup of the share capital. क्या है? Equity and preference. What I told you, first always write preference. अभी देखो amount 3 lakhs है. What I told you, यहाँ पे number आएगा. ब्रैकेट्स में देखो क्या दिया है, प्रेफरेंस 9% प्रेफरेंस शेयर कैपिटल, ब्रैकेट्स में दिया 100 रुपीज, दैट मीन्स एक शेयर 100 रुपए का है. टोटल अमाउंट कितना है? 3 लाख. 3 lakhs को 100 से डिवाइड करो, सो कैन आई से 3000. गेटिंग इट ना? आई रिपीट, अमाउंट इज 3 लाख, एक शेयर 100 रुपए का. सो व्हाट यू विल डू, 3,009% preference shares of rupees 100 each fully paid. 3,009% preference shares of 100 each fully paid. So 3,000 into 100, that is 3 lakh, which is the amount given in the balance sheet. 3,000 into 100, 3 lakhs, that is the amount given in the balance sheet. Clear with this? Next, same way equity. Now see, sometimes the shares can be partly paid. Suppose it was given 100 share, 80 paid up. So you would have written off 100 each, 80 paid up. Then the amount will be 3,000 into 80. But I am not getting into that in today का sum. अभी गो बैक ऊपर इक्विटी शेयर 5 लाख है अमाउंट, एक शेयर 10 रुपए का. अगर टोटल अमाउंट 5 लाख है और एक शेयर 10 रुपए का है, सो कैन आई से 5 लाख डिवाइड बाय 10, 50,000. सो इसके नीचे 50,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each fully paid, that is 5 lakh. Okay, total amount what is given in the amount column divide by the brackets का face value, that will be the number of shares. पहले ना ओल्ड कंपनीज एक्ट में it was not compulsory to write the number of shares. Now it is compulsory, so we have to write the number of shares. Got it? So I'll repeat. 3 lakhs था, divide by 100 gives you 3,000. So 3,009% preference shares of 100 each fully paid. 5 lakh divided by 10, 50,000 equity shares of 10 each fully paid. That gives you 5 lakh. Got it, guys? Next, capital reserve, general reserve. Acha, total I can take it now, but I am not doing it. Let me first finish the full posting, then we'll see total ka part. Reserves and surpluses. As I mentioned, capital reserve, general reserve, P&L, all three are reserve and surpluses. Put all three of them one below the other. You have already written na brackets mein R and S. So capital reserve, that is 25,000. General reserve, that is 75,000. And profit and loss 80,000. Okay. Capital reserve 25,000, general reserve 75,000, and profit and loss account, that is 80,000. Clear? Total बाद में लिखेंगे. 10% debentures. As I told you, when nothing is mentioned, debentures are always long term. So this will be a part of long term borrowing. So 10% debentures will come in long term borrowing, that is 2 lakhs. Bank overdraft is a part of short term liabilities, which is in the form of loan. Therefore, we put it under the head short term borrowings. So next note, short term borrowings, there's only one item, that is bank overdraft. कितना है बैंक ओवरड्राफ्ट? 25,000. Creditors, bills payable. As we discussed, both are a part of trade payable. So come to trade payable. Creditors and bills payable. So creditors 80,000, bills payable 20,000, 22. Creditors 80,000, bills payable 22,000. Now guys listen, trade payable में in your syllabus creditors and bills payable only will come. Now both are there, so मैंने नोट बनाया. सपोज दो में से कोई भी एक रहेगा, then even if you don't prepare the note, You straight away put the amount against trade payable, it is fine. Got it? I'll repeat again. Creditors bills payable में से कोई भी एक होता, there was, if you ignore the note chalega, you can straight away write against trade payable. Because both are there, I have to give the breakup. Next, outstanding expense. As we discussed, it will be a part of other current liability. So other current liability में outstanding expenses, that is 5,000. Outstanding expenses, that is 5,000. Next, provision for tax. Provision for tax is a part of short term provision. Advance tax को हमें minus करना है. So what you do? First, come to short term provisions. Write there provision for tax. अभी देखो, provision for tax मतलब शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोविजन में खाली प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स है और उसमें से एडवांस टैक्स माइनस करना है. सो इवन इफ यू राइट इन द इनर कॉलम इट्स फाइन, और लेट्स राइट इट डायरेक्टली आउटसाइड, दैट इज 33,000. बिकॉज एंड में नोट का फाइनल टोटली मेन बैलेंस शीट में जाएगा. ओके, सो कम टू शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोविजंस, प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स 33,000. ओके, नेक्स्ट, land and building, plant and machinery, furniture. We discuss all three are part of tangible asset or property, plant and equipment. Come here. Land and building 4 lakhs. Plant and machinery 175. Furniture and fixtures, that is 45,000. Getting it? Property, plant and equipment. Next, goodwill, patents. We know both are intangible. So goodwill, patents, both will be a part of intangible assets. So goodwill 20,000, patents 10. Building under construction, as I told you, it will be a part of capital WIP. Capital WIP में क्या आता है? Those fixed assets which you are installing on your own or constructing on your own. जब तक installation चालू है, जब तक construction चालू है, it will go under the head capital WIP. Once the installation or construction gets over, it goes to tangible. So right now, come to capital WIP, right there. Building under construction, that is 1,70,000. 5% investment. As I told you, if nothing is mentioned, investment will always be non-current. So come to non-current investment. 5% investment. 5% is the income which balance sheet के सामने you don't have to do anything. So guys, again I'll repeat. अगर investment दिया है खाली, mention नहीं किया non current या current, it will always be treated long term, that is non current. Preliminary expenses, as I told you, fictitious assets, and all fictitious assets will be a part of other non current assets. So come to other non current asset, right there. Preliminary expenses 20,000. Preliminary expenses 20,000. Then marketable investments. Now listen, marketable investments का मैंने नोट नहीं बनाया. If you see there is no note. उसका रीजन क्या है? Marketable means it is short term investment, current investments only. So this also ना, अगर ये 5% नहीं दिया रहता ना, even 5% दिया, you could have avoided a note. But because they have mentioned the description, we make a note. They'll give you 5% bank 5% IDBI investment, 6% bonds, then you write it. अगर खाली investment दिया है यहाँ पे भी note avoid कर सकते हो. Okay, so this is marketable itself means short term. So see, इसका note नहीं बनेगा. There is no need for note. So straight away come to the main balance sheet. Against current investments लिख दो तुम्हारा marketable investment का amount. फर्स्ट कॉलम में 60,000. जो लोगों ने खाली एक ही कॉलम बनाया, यू कैन स्ट्रेट अवे टेक इट आउटसाइड. सो करंट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स फर्स्ट कॉलम में 60. इसमें नोट नहीं है बिकॉज दे हैव गिवन यू मार्केटेबल. मार्केटेबल इटसेल्फ मींस करंट. क्लियर गाइस? नेक्स्ट, स्टॉक. स्टॉक इज अ पार्ट ऑफ इन्वेंट्री. देखो, कैन यू सी अ नोट ऑफ इन्वेंट्री? नो. अगर एक ही स्टॉक है, इट इज ऑलवेज स्टॉक ऑफ फिनिश गुड्स, सो नो नीड फॉर उसका नोट ऑल्सो. सो इन्वेंट्री के सामने लिख दो स्टॉक का अमाउंट, दैट इज 80,000. गेटिंग इट गाइस? सो जरूरी नहीं है हर एक आइटम का नोट बनेगा. नेक्स्ट, ट्रेड रिसीवेबल. ट्रेड रिसीवेबल में क्या आता है? डेटर्स एंड बीआर बोथ आर देयर. सो इसका नोट बनेगा कम टू ट्रेड रिसीवेबल. कम टू ट्रेड रिसीवेबल राइट है. डेटर्स 1,40,000 and bills receivable 30,000. Debtors 1,40,000 and bill receivable 130. Again the same thing. Debtors BR both are there, we made a note. Debtors BR both are there, we made a note. अगर एक ही होता you could have avoided a note. Cash bank, part of cash and cash equivalent. So cash and bank, cash 20,000, bank 50,000. Cash and bank will be a part of cash and cash equivalent. Prepaid expense, I discussed. Expense paid in advance will be a part of short-term loans and advances. So prepaid expenses, that is 5,000. Now guys, see, understand this. Advance tax, मैंने क्या बोला? If provision for tax was not there, advance tax would have come here only, short-term loans and advances. Now provision for tax और short-term loans and advance दोनों है. Short-term advance tax का amount 15,000 है. This is 33. Provision for tax is more and advance tax is less. As per the Companies Act, you are supposed to show the net effect. So what will happen? Provision for tax में से मैं यहाँ पे advance tax minus करूंगा. Suppose vice versa होता, advance tax 33,000 था, provision 15,000, then I would have written advance tax first and deducted short term provision. But यहाँ पे short term provision ज्यादा है, that is provision for tax is more. So from this I will deduct advance tax, that is 15,000. So 33 minus 15 gives me 18. Again मैं repeat कर रहा हूं. अगर advance tax 33 होता, provision for tax 15, then short term loans and advances में I would have written advance tax 33,000 less provision for tax. So अगर provision ज्यादा है advance tax से, show the net effect in short term provision. अगर advance tax ज्यादा है, show the net effect in short term loans and advances. Clear with this guys? Got it? And the last item क्या है? Interest receivable 5,000. This will be a part of other current assets. Okay. Interest receivable will be a part of other current assets. Okay. I hope the posting is clear. Got it guys? Now, as I told you, this is as good as a working note or an annexure. We use the word notes to accounts. Now, before I put this in the balance sheet, first Let's take the total of each and every note. Note 1, 3 lakh, 5 lakh. Total कितना है? 8 lakh. Just simple way present the total. Reserve and surplus is 25 and 75, 1 lakh plus 80, 180. Long term borrowings, 10% debentures, 2 lakhs. Short term borrowings, बैंक ओडी एक ही आइटम है 25,000. Creditors bills payable 80 and 22, 1,02,000. Outstanding expenses 5,000. Provision for tax हो गया. This is 4 lakh and 1, 575, 580, 620, 180, yeah, 620. 20 plus 10, 30. You have to just take the total of the respective notes to accounts. Only one item, 170 itself is the total. 1 lakh itself is the total. 20,000 itself is the total. 170 itself is the total. 20 and 50, 70 itself is the total. 5,000 itself is the total. 5,000 itself, दोनों का 5,000 each. Got it? So, short-term loans and advances, prepaid expense 5,000, interest receivable 5,000. Clear with this, guys? Got it? Now listen. Notes to accounts का number क्यों लिखा है? और यहाँ पे why we have made a small column of notes to accounts. Understand now. Share capital किधर है? Note 1 share capital. Total कितना? 8 lakhs. So what you do? First column में लिखो 8 lakhs. Those who are just preparing one column, no problem in that. अभी देखो नोट नंबर कौन सा है? 1. So यहाँ पे क्या लिखोगे? नोट नंबर में 1. You know why? बिकॉज जो ये पढ़ेगा उसको देखना है 8 लाख का ब्रेकअप क्या है. नंबर 1 है, गो टू नोट नंबर 1. ये है मेरा 8 लाख का ब्रेकअप, एज गुड एज वर्किंग नोट्स. गेटिंग इट? सो नोट नंबर 1 का टोटल 8 लाख है. राइट हियर 8 लाख. नोट नंबर के कॉलम में लिखो 1. दैट मीन्स नोट नंबर 1 में इसका ब्रेकअप है. नोट टू रिजर्व्स 180 लिखो इधर, 1,80,000. कौन सा है? नोट नंबर 2. सो नोट नंबर 2. नाउ सी, फर्स्ट हेड इज शेयर होल्डर्स फंड ना. सो नोट 1 नोट 2 का टोटल सेकेंड कॉलम में आएगा 9,80,000. सेकेंड कॉलम में 9,80,000. नेक्स्ट, लॉन्ग टर्म बोरोइंग्स, नोट नंबर 3. सो नोट नंबर 3 फर्स्ट कॉलम में 2 lakhs. अदर लॉन्ग टर्म लाइबिलिटीज, और ये नहीं है. नाउ सी, 2 lakh plus 0 gives you 2 lakh. Guys, getting it? You all followed the logic जो मैं समझा रहा हूं. Put the items in the main balance sheet and against the item put in the note number का कॉलम में respective notes. So किसी को देखना है 2 लाख कैसे आया. देखो 10% डिबेंचर 2 लाख. ओके, नेक्स्ट, बैंक ओडी नोट नंबर 4 25,000. सो नोट नंबर 4 फर्स्ट कॉलम में लिखो 25. दोज हु हैव मेड ओनली वन कॉलम, पुट इट इन वन कॉलम, नो प्रॉब्लम. ट्रेड पेएबल 1,02,000, नोट नंबर 5 1,02,000. अदर करंट लाइबिलिटीज नोट नंबर 6 कितना है टोटल? 5,000. शॉर्ट टर्म प्रोविजन नोट नंबर 7 कितना है? 18,000. सो नोट नंबर 7 फर्स्ट कॉलम में 18,000. ओके, तो फर्स्ट कॉलम में 18,000. टेक द टोटल नाउ. 25 plus 102, 127, 132, 1,50,000. 18 and 5, 23, 125 and 25, 150. Okay. Now let's just take the total of this liability side. 980 plus 2 lakh plus 150 gives you 1330. 980 plus 2 lakh plus 150 gives you 1330. Next, property, plant and equipment. Note number 8. So note number 8, note number में लिखो 8, amount 6,20,000. Intangible assets, note number 9. So intangible asset के सामने note 9, that is 30,000. Capital WIP, note number 10. So capital WIP, note number 10, that is 1,70,000. Non-current investment, note 11, कितना है 1 lakh. Okay. In this sum, I think the long-term loans and advances was not there, ना? Yeah, long-term loans and advances इसमें नहीं था. So long-term loans and advances नहीं है. Other non-current assets, preliminary expenses, note number 12, that is 20,000. Long-term loans and advances is not there in this sum. Then हो गया, चलो take इसका total. Those who have made everything in one column, ये total नहीं आएगा. Those who are making two columns, you all only take the total. Those who are making only one column, just put one below the other. Okay, 620 plus 30 plus 170 plus 120 gives you 9,50,000. 620 plus 30, 170, 120, 940. Okay, next, trade receivable. Note number 13. कितना है 1,70,000. Cash and cash equivalent. Note number 14. 70,000. Short-term loans and advances 15. That is 5,000. Other current assets 16. That is 5,000. Okay, take the total. 60, 80, 170, 70 and 10. 390 plus 940, 13,30,000. See guys, बैलेंस शीट है, टैली हो गया, लाइबिलिटीज इक्विटी का टोटल 1330, यहाँ का टोटल 1330. Clear? This is your balance sheet. So this was just a basic sum where I just kept more items so that you get a hang of preparation of notes to accounts. This is your company balance sheet. Again, I am repeating, this is not a part of any specific subject or a specific chapter. This is overall understanding of preparation of the balance sheet as per Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. Important for objective, Schedule 3. Got it? So guys, first half of the session, we understood what is balance sheet company ka and what items comes along with the classification. And then in the second half of this session only, we solved a sum where I discussed how to proceed. How you'll proceed? First read the sum, give the headings, side पे कौन सा item कौन से head में जाएगा. According to that, make notes to accounts and leave line. This was the basic sum where I, just to avoid any confusion, I could have jumbled up, but वो confusion create करेगा. So I made it very simple. I went in order so that you get a hang of balance sheet. So this was guys, company's balance sheet discussion, understanding and solving of a basic sum where normal horizontal balance sheet was converted into vertical format. That's it guys. I wind up here. Please understand this very carefully because if you don't get this, जो भी chapters में तुम्हें balance sheet बनाना है, like internal reconstruction, buyback, amalgamation, wherever you have to prepare balance sheet, if you are not company's final accounts of TY, BCom, SY, BAP, If you don't know this balance sheet, you cannot do the sums. So please understand carefully and revise it. This is an open video on YouTube. You can listen as many times you want. That's it, guys. I wind up here. See you all in the next class with the relevant subjects. Why I'm mentioning relevant subject? Because this is not a session related to specific subjects. YouTube पे open है, rewind forward multiple times, but see to it you get the concept properly along with the classification of heads. That's it. Take care, guys.